Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. One of my favorite things about the firearms lifestyle, the firearms hobby, about firearms, is being able to upgrade and customize your guns to make them truly your own. Not only that, just to make them that much more functional and to be able to use them more effectively through upgrading them. So I want to talk about what I think are my top 5 gun upgrades. And I want to hear from you guys down in the comments what would be your top 5 gun upgrades. And we'll see if they match up with mine or if you think that I'm way off base here. But I've got 5 that I think that are probably the most important upgrades that you can do to a firearm that basically translate across the board. Pistols, rifles, short-barreled rifles, across all of them. So I want to know what you guys think. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical, hit that bell notification, and let's talk about firearms upgrades. So number 5 is going to be holsters. Now when it comes to concealed carry, your holster is about just as important as the gun, and so is your belt. And we've talked about that in past videos. But even just for range day, for like duty kind of use, you need a way to retain your firearm. And I have holsters for every single one of my pistols because you need a way to be able to retain your gun while you're at the range, carrying it around, whatever. And holsters, I don't just mean holsters for handguns, but when I say holsters, I also mean slings. A sling is your holster for your rifle platform, or like an AR pistol, short-barreled rifle. A sling is your holster for that type of firearm and is very important. You need to be able to retain your gun to be able to carry it, still be able to use your hands, whether you're in a actual situation that you need to use your firearm in, or you're just at the range. You need to be able to retain your gun. Like I said, slings and holsters. I use this holster every day of my life. This gun, this holster, basically lives on me. If I go to the range, I've got this holster for my TLR1, works with my Glock build or my M&P. There's lots of great holster options out there. Make sure you get one that is comfortable for you and that works for what you need it for. The holsters that I use for range holsters for my bigger pistols with lights and optics and stuff on them are very different from the holster that I use to carry my concealed carry gun. And then when it comes to slings, I like to get one that you can like tighten or loosen really quickly and easily. It has one of those straps that you pull on to do that. A 2-point sling works really well for me. If you're using a smaller platform like an MP5 or something, maybe you want a single point that you can push it out and brace your firearm against that sling. But slings are very, very important. Slings and holsters, that's my number 5. Let's talk about number 4. So number 4 is going to be furniture. And when I say furniture, I mean things like stocks, hand guards, foregrips, pistol grips, even the grips on your pistols. Furniture in general. So this AR-15 right here, this was my very first AR-15. It came with your standard like clamshell forend, the A2, telescoping stock. This A2 pistol grip, these are terrible. If you get these on any of your guns, replace them immediately. I like the Magpul ones a lot. This is a Mission First Tactical. B5 Systems SOP Mod stock. The furniture that you use makes a huge difference because that is what you interact with when it comes to holding your gun. Putting this full length M-LOK handguard on here with the vertical foregrip, I can get a much better grip on my gun. I can drive the gun where I want it to be, pull it back into my shoulder, and with a good, comfortable stock, it's going to sit right in the same place in my shoulder every time. When it comes to my actual pistol grip, I like ones that are more vertical and not slanted back so much like the A2 grip. But furniture has to do with more than just that. Like on something like this, I like just this little finger stop. I could use that to pull it back into my shoulder the same way. And we have these, these SB Tactical pistol braces. We'll see for how long. There are lawsuits about that going on right now. Hopefully we get to keep these. Otherwise, I guess we'll all have SBRs. But when it comes to furniture, I also mean on handguns. So this is a Springfield Armory Ronin 1911. It originally came with these wooden grips. Now these wooden grips look great, but these G10 grips make it much easier to get a really good purchase on the gun. I feel like I have a lot more control over it under recoil. When it comes to my SIG P365, I changed out the standard grip module for a Wilson Combat grip module, and it made it a much easier gun to shoot well. And when it comes to a small gun like this, anything that helps really helps. So changing out that grip module was huge. Your furniture makes a big difference. So make sure that you get stuff that is comfortable and that works for you. And you might have to go through some things to find out what works for you. Again, this AR-15, being that it was my first one, I had to learn a lot in the process of upgrading this thing. This drop-in handguard is what I originally replaced the clamshell A2 with. This was initially on this gun, and I put a more vertical one on it. I had this Mission First Tactical Minimalist stock on here before I changed it out for the B5 SOP mod. You might go through a few different things until you find exactly what you like, but it's a fun process to go through, and once you do find what you like, it'll be easier and easier with subsequent guns to build them out the first time exactly what works for you. Now let's talk about number 3. So number 3 is going to be triggers. I love a good trigger. Triggers make a huge difference. And the standard mil-spec trigger, like this, that comes in your AR-15, while it will work just fine, it's pretty heavy. And I'm not just talking about AR-15s. If you can get all your guns to have a trigger similar to something like what I've got in the 1911 here, very short take-up, nice crisp break, short reset, that makes a huge difference, because when you are taking a shot, you have less of a chance to pull your shot off target if your trigger pull is short. And if it's light, you just have less of a chance to accidentally pull it, because when your muscles are tightening and you're pulling that trigger, if you've got a bunch of weight there that you have to pull against, you're just much more likely to pull your shot off target. So I like to replace the triggers in just about all of my guns. I've got a Geisley trigger in the 300 Blackout build here, and this Geisley trigger is absolutely amazing. It's just so crisp. And I highly recommend Geisley. Geisley makes fantastic triggers, but there are other great ones on the market too. For my M&P 2.0, I'm using an Apex Tactical flat face trigger. If you have an M&P 2.0, this Apex Tactical trigger is a necessary upgrade in my opinion. Look how short and crisp that break is. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's as close as you can get to like a 1911 trigger in a polymer framed striker fired gun. If you guys have been following the build series on my Gucci Glock on a budget build, which the budget ended up being well over $1,000, but it's what it is. You'll know that I just put the Timney Alpha Glock trigger in this one. And for a Glock trigger, that is really good. Now, every one of these guns has an upgraded trigger in it, just about. This one actually has a binary trigger in it. This one has the Palmetto State Armory 3.5 pound match grade trigger. And if you don't want to spend Geisley prices, because a Geisley trigger is about 240 bucks. Well, this is a single stage trigger from PSA. $89 they're selling them for right now. And they're great triggers. They're drop in, easy installation, easy to go, and very light, very crisp, very nice trigger, especially for the money. But triggers are my number 3. I think that they're extremely important. It's one of those things that you interact with every single time that you take a shot. And it makes a big difference with how fast and accurate you can be. So now let's talk about number 2. So number 2 is going to be lights. Lights are extremely important, whether on your handguns or your rifles. I put lights on all of my guns because lights are very important. There is a very big chance that if you ever are going to have to use your firearm in self-defense, that it might be at nighttime. It is dark half of the time in this world, and you need to be able to positively identify your target. And if you're in the dark, that means a light. You have to be able to see what you're aiming at. Make sure that it's something that you actually should be aiming a gun at or not, because you don't want to pull the trigger and shoot someone or something that wasn't going to cause you harm, that wasn't, an actual threat. So positive target identification, extremely important. If it's a gun that you're using at all for personal defense, self-defense, home defense, it should have a light on it. You have to be able to positively identify your target. Now, there are lots of good lights on the market. Surefire, Mod Light, Cloud Defensive. There's a bunch of them. I've really been a huge fan of Streamlight. Streamlights, for the money, I think are the best value on the market. You can get, like this is the ProTac HLX. It is a great rifle light. When you pair it up with an Arasaka offset mount, it sits right in close to your rail. It's got a pressure pad, constant on, momentary. They also make pistol lights. I love the TLR1HL. I've put it on both my Glock build and my M&P here. I think Streamlight, for the money, is really hard to beat. There are other ones out there. I've got an Olight on here. I know people give Olight a lot of shit, but you know what? It hasn't stopped working. So until I have a problem with it, I probably won't replace it. If it starts causing me problems, then I'm sure that gun will end up with a Streamlight as well. But find a light that you like. I really like these Streamlight pistol lights because of the way they actuate. They have this paddle system instead of actual buttons. So just find what works for you. Make sure it's got high lumens, high candela. In my opinion, there's no such thing as too much light. These gun lights these days are so good that they can literally light up your house as if the lights are on. But if someone's looking back at it, they can't see you. And that is a very big advantage. Lights are extremely important. Make sure you put lights on your ARs. Make sure you put lights on your home defense pistols. You got to be able to positively identify your target. Now, let's get into number 1. So my number 1 gun upgrade is going to be optics. And within optics, I'm going to include iron sights, but just your sighting system in general. But I really, really like optics. We live in the year 2023, and we have fantastic technology available to us. I like to put red dot sights on my handguns. I've got I really like Holosun pistol optics. I've got one on my Glock build, on my M&P here. I think that they do great. This is also a Holosun. This is the 512C. It's got a circle dot reticle and a huge clear window, just like an EOTech. This thing is fantastic. If you want to reach out a little bit farther, something like a red dot with a magnifier that you can flip to the side is a great choice for optics. That way you have a 1x sighting system, and you can easily go to 3x if you need to take a longer shot or you need to positively identify something a little farther away. And if you're going to be doing shooting a little farther than that, you can go with something like an LPVO. Now, an LPVO is really sweet because a decent one is going to have a true 1x, but you can also dial it up on this one all the way up to 6x. Some of them even go to 8 or 10x. And then you can really get a good positive identification of your target. And, you know, it's just nice to have that magnification sometimes. So, but, you know, even just a standard red dot is great for a CQB type gun. I don't feel like I need any magnification for my 300 blackout or my AR9. Or definitely for my pistols, but make sure that you have good optics, that you have them sighted in. Make sure they're zeroed well. Take it to the range, zero your optics, but not only your optics, but your backup iron sights. I do believe in backup iron sights because optics are electronics, and electronics have been known to fail occasionally. Now, with modern technology, you have a pretty good chance that they're not going to ever fail. Check your batteries, make sure you replace them periodically, and you'll probably never have a problem. But just in case you do, make sure that you've learned how to shoot with iron sights, and make sure that your iron sights will co-witness through your optic if you need them to. Because the last thing you want is to be in an oh shit situation and not be able to, you know, get a sight picture. It's very important. Now, I don't have backup irons on this gun just yet. Unfortunately, with how short the rail is, I would have to put my front sight right in front of the optic. Still haven't decided exactly what to do here, but I'm sure I will make that decision eventually. I've got a lot of guns here. It takes time to get everything done on every one of them. But optics, sights, very important. I think that that is actually probably the most important thing, because if you can't get a sight picture, how accurate can you really be? You need to be able to see what you are doing. So to recap, my top 5 gun upgrades. Number 5, holsters. And that includes slings for your rifle platforms. Number 4, that would be furniture. And that includes grips, all of those kinds of things. Number 3, that's going to be your triggers. Triggers are very important. Number 2, lights. You got to be able to positively identify your target. And number 1, I think that optics are the most important thing. You have to be able to get a sight picture to take an effective shot. And within optics, I also include iron sights. What are your top 5 gun upgrades? Leave me a list down in the comments. If you can, give me a 5-to-1 like I just did. Or just tell me what you think of my list. If you think that I'm right on or way off, or if you'd put them in a different order. Whatever you think, I would love to hear your opinion. I respond to every comment. Now, make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a like, share it with people. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.